Welcome to the Stepmom Side with Alicia Crasco, the podcast for stepmoms ready to create the life they want and one they actually have a say in. Here we talk all things stepmom life and just a little bit more. Leave the superficial conversations at the door and get ready for perspective shifts and actionable advice to help you on your way to creating the life you want, one step at a time. Hey, welcome back to the Stepmom Side podcast. I'm your host, Alicia, and the next few episodes, this one and three more, so the next 4 episodes are going to kind of be like a mini series. I've never done this before on the podcast, and I'm kind of really excited about it. But it's about like things that as a stepmom that we know but like have never thought about, and it's about how like your brain is fine but your nervous system is panicking, right? So this series is going to be validating. It's going to be like a little sassy, but also it's going to be like, oh my God, that's me energy. And here's who it's for. High functioning type A stepmoms who are exhausted from holding it together and wondering why insight isn't helping anymore. You know, like that threshold you hit where you're just like bashing your head against a wall and you're like, what the hell is going on? Like, why isn't this helping me anymore? These podcast episodes are for you. I'm like, this episode, because that's usually what I say. These podcast episodes are going to be for you. So if you're listening to this and you're thinking, you know what, Alicia, I've read the books. I've done the work. I can explain my trauma in 3 bullet points. So why am I losing my mind? Welcome. These next episodes are going to be for you because starting with today, we're going to be talking about why being self-aware isn't actually calming you down. I know that sounds crazy and maybe like counterproductive or counterintuitive, but I've recently realized this about myself. I've said to my husband, you know, sometimes when it comes to parenting, like I feel like I'm simmering, and you know, you've heard me say on the podcast before, it's almost like, and when I was, you know, full-time stepmomming or like full in for stepmomming, whether it was part-time or full-time, I'd be like, okay, this is like a challenge. Let's see like how much I can take without like losing my mind. And sometimes I'm like, dang, I didn't know how good I had it as a stepmom because my stepkids were here half the time until my stepson moved in full time. But with my daughter, like she's here all the time, right? And so I don't ever get that break. Shocking. I was just talking to a girlfriend about this, and she's like, yeah, no one preps you for like when you have kids, like they're with you 24/7. And you're like, yeah, duh, of course. But then also like you're in it and you're like, oh my God, they're with you like 24/7. So just like the simmering part, I'm like, if something happens, like I, you know, like keep it together, but I'm like, being self-aware to know that I'm like annoyed doesn't keep me calm. And so that's why for like stepmoms, a lot of times it's making things worse. And here's the spoiler. You don't need more insight, you need more safety, which I mean, yeah, same. So here's why capable stepmoms struggle more. The cruel irony of being a high-functioning, emotionally intelligent stepmom is you're too good at understanding things. And I'm going to list off a few things, and you're going to be like, oh my God, that's me. How does she know? You can see everyone's perspective, right? Like you can see your partner's perspective. Obviously, you can see your perspective. You can see your stepkids' perspective. You can see the other house's perspective. You can see extended family's perspective. You can see everyone's perspective. You've looked at it from all sorts of angles. You can explain why your partner reacted that way. Oh, your partner reacted out of guilt, or they acted out of fear, or they reacted out of sadness or whatever. You can understand the ex's behavior is about her and not about you. You know your stepkid is acting out because transitions are hard. Great, you've got the gold star. So you can see everyone's perspective. You can explain why your partner reacted that way. You know your stepkid is acting out because transitions are hard, and you understand that the ex's behavior is about her, not you. Great. Like I said, you get the gold star. And also, your nervous system does not care, because insight doesn't exactly equal regulation. And the stepmoms who struggle the most are usually the ones who are competent, who are self-reflective, who have done therapy, who pride themselves on being the calm one, or like, you know, I'm great under pressure, which leads us to the trap. And the trap is, if I understand it, I won't feel it. Are you nodding along? Because I mean, I've never like consciously thought that until I thought that and I was like, oh yeah. Yeah, that's definitely me. So somewhere along the way, many of us learned this equation. If I can explain it, I can bypass it, right? Like I've been words are hard apparently. I've been on office hours, or I've been on coaching calls, or I've been in like a live Q&A like inside the stepmom side community, and explaining like why things happen. I think a lot of times we get caught up in, well, like if I can explain it, like then I can just like sidestep the hurt or sidestep the frustration. And no, that's not what's happening, or that's not possible. So here's a few examples just to like make this crystal clear. So instead of feeling hurt, you think, well, I know this isn't personal, right? Like how many times have you said, well, have I said to you like, well, if you and I switch places, they would do it to me. So you're like, okay, well, I know this isn't personal. So instead of anger, you might say or feel or think, I get why he sided with the kids, which like, doesn't feel good, but like, I get why he sided with the kids. Instead of grief, it might be, this is just a part of being in a blended family, or this is a part of blended family life. And listen, none of that's wrong, right? Like I've absolutely said those things. I tell people those things. But what happens is your feelings don't get processed unless you process them. They get managed. Your feelings don't get processed, they get managed. And unmanaged feelings don't disappear. They turn into resentment, they turn into shutdown, they turn into exhaustion, or that fun thing where you cry over absolutely nothing at 10 p.m. and you're like, I just want to go to bed, but you're like literally exhausted. So when self-awareness turns into self-pressure, let's talk about that. Because at some point, awareness stops being helpful and starts becoming a weapon. You start telling yourself, I shouldn't feel this way. I know better than this. Why am I still triggered by this? And now you're not just dysregulated, you're judging yourself for being dysregulated. So you clamp down harder. You try even harder to stay composed. You keep being the mature one, the bigger person. And your nervous system is like, okay, cool, we're still not safe. Got it. So you can know why something hurts and still be hurt. You can understand a situation and still need support. You can be emotionally intelligent and still need comfort. Regulation doesn't come from explaining. It comes from being seen, being validated, having space to feel without fixing. Those three things are so important. Being seen, being validated, and having space to feel without fixing. I will tell you that last one really is near and dear to my heart, because I don't know how many times I've been on a coaching call or I've been on office hours talking to a stepmom inside the stepmom side community. And if you don't know what office hours is, so inside the stepmom side community, every week I host office hours, and you can come in and you talk to me one-on-one. It's just you and I. There isn't anyone else in there. And it's basically just like mini coaching sessions. If there's somebody in the waiting room, like I'll jump back and forth between the two of you after a certain amount of time. But I can't tell you how many times I've had stepmoms come in and just let everything out, and there are tears. And I think this, I don't say it to the stepmoms that do cry, but I think it because I say it to my daughter. Your big emotions, if you're crying, if you're angry, if you're frustrated, if you are feeling sad, those don't scare me. And I think that as humans, we need a place to be able to emotion. We need a place to be able to emotion, but we need a place to be able to express our emotions, because sadness isn't a bad emotion. Happiness isn't a good emotion. They're just emotions. And I think we get caught up in like, I shouldn't feel this way. I know better than this, right? All of those things. And I think it's important to just reiterate, you can know why something hurts and still be hurt. And so often, we try to pretend like we're okay for the sake of not being judged or, not pissing off our partner or whatever. But all of these things, like not being regulated, it comes at what a cost. It comes at a cost, which is a lot. And so let's talk about the hidden cost. When you're always the calm one, you don't get tended to. You don't get checked on. People just assume that you're fine. right? Like if you've been through a struggle in your stepfamily life, like obviously you have, like that's why you're here and that's why you listen. Or if you're here and you're into the stepmom side community, like yes, I know your struggles, I've heard them. But people just assume that you're fine. And you can think back to a time where you were really struggling in your stepfamily life, but like everyone on the outside thought that you guys were so good and everything was fine, right? Right? Like tell me that this has happened to you too, right? So when you're the calm one, like you don't get tended to, you don't get checked on, people just assume that you're fine. And eventually your body starts screaming because your mouth never did. Maybe you get headaches. Maybe you get a tight chest. Maybe you snap over like the smallest thing or something that's so dumb that you're just like, what? Maybe you want to disappear. Maybe you have stomach aches, all of the anxiety, but like the wanting to disappear, that's not immaturity. That's unmet safety. Or I should say that can be unmet safety. So I just want to tell you this. Your feelings aren't a failure of growth. They're a signal that something in you needs steadiness, reassurance, or support, not another reframe. So if this is hitting a little too close to home, you don't need to work on yourself harder. You need to stop doing this alone. Inside the stepmom side community, you don't have to be the calm one. You get to be the honest one. So you can come join us, not to fix yourself, but to finally feel supported and finally have stepmoms in your corner that get what you are going through. You have me, like I understand it, I get it. And it's a place where you can fall apart. And guess what? We will help you pick the pieces back up and put you back together. You don't have to do this on your own. But just a reminder, your feelings aren't a failure of growth. They're a signal. I'm going to say this last line for you one more time. A signal that something in you needs steadiness, needs reassurance, or support. You don't need another refrain. You don't need another free resource. You don't need another course. What we need to do is we have the knowledge, like let's go deep on that and figure out like, okay, what is happening? What am I missing? And I say this quite a bit, but like if you can get curious about what's happening or like why it's happening, that's where we get the answers. So you find out like, is it safety that you need? Is it to feel safe? Again, like I'm struggling over my words here. Is it like, do you need to feel safe? Do you need to feel loved? Do you need like the steadiness? Because the uncertainty as a stepmom sucks so much. It's so freaking hard. Maybe you just need the reassurance. Maybe you just need support. Whatever it is, we can help you figure it out. But I'm excited for the next 3 episodes to come out. I think that you're really going to like them. Let me know on Instagram if you do like this one. And, when you listen to the other 3, if you like them too. I'm just at Alicia Crasco on Instagram. But I will chat with you next week. Thanks for taking time to listen to this week's episode. If anything was helpful or resonated with you, please share it on social media and tag me. I'm just at Alicia Crasco. And if you could leave a 5-star rating and a review while you're at it, that would also be really helpful. And if you find yourself struggling with your stepmom journey and you want a little bit more support without the hefty price tag of coaching, you might want to check out the stepmom side community, which is my own private community for stepmoms, where you get to connect with other stepmoms around the world and myself, where I hold weekly office hours and monthly group coaching. It's kind of like you have your own personal coach in your own back pocket. Again, without that hefty price tag. See you next week.